We need to save America before we can save Australia. So this is, I've come here to sacrifice 3 months of my life to support MAGA, the MAGA candidates. I've been to Arizona, New Mexico and Florida. And for me, it's just important that in order to save Australia, I wanted to be here to make sure that we get the right people over the line.
This is an Australian who thinks he's a MAGA American. He's a MAGA Australian, and I'm an Australian who's been dealing with MAGA Australians since 2016, so I thought I'd explain exactly what's happening to men like this.
Vote Trump 2020. Bernie Sanders is a communist. Joe Biden's lost the plot. Warren says she's Native American, when we all know she's not.
My fellow white Australians always reckon they're under attack. They think they're under attack from the Aboriginal people who lived here before them. They think they're under attack from the migrants who came here after them. Under attack from everyone. And the reason they think that way about everyone is because of a deep-seated inferiority complex.
But you're so blessed there in America to have a man like Donald Trump, and not some snivelling little coward or some left-wing socialist chump.
This inferiority complex manifests as what we call cultural cringe, which was a term invented here actually, coined by an Australian writer, Arthur Phillips, in a 1950 issue of the Meanjin Journal. Phillips writes, "The cringe mainly appears in an inability to escape needless comparisons. The Australian reader, more or less consciously, hedges and hesitates, asking himself, yes, but what would a cultivated Englishman think of this?" In other words, us white Australians are desperate for the validation of Mother Empire, which historically speaking is the British, of course. We feel inferior about being colonial subjects, about not being the real deal, not being good enough, fretting over being subpar convict stock, and so on. Some of these are historical insecurities, but yeah, they all linger on in the modern white Australian cultural DNA. The other parent nation that we all beg for the approval of is America, but they've really overtaken the British in our fawning desire for validation, given that the US spent an entire century centering itself as an imperialist global daddy figure. The patriotic chic of Trump's campaign might not be anything new to Americans, but it was the first time that the rest of the world really got to see so much of it up close and personal, given the enduring global broadcast of the election campaign in 2016. Those aesthetics of MAGA captured a lot of people's imagination. MAGA Australians have a condition called national dysphoria. This is a state of unease or dissatisfaction with one's own nationality and national identity. This research proposal on the phenomenon I found suggests that nations that are under attack can develop a national inferiority complex that becomes part of a national consciousness. Australia isn't under attack from anybody, no, but this is where the cultural cringe comes in. When you're insecure, as we discussed earlier, you always think you're under attack, even when you're not. They'd prefer to feel the corny weightlessness of white American patriotic chic rather than the insecurity of being a white Australian colonial lapdog.
All these Democrats are dangerous. They are the ones that you should dump. You know what your nation needs, so please just vote for Trump.
We need to save America before we can save Australia. So this is, I've come here to sacrifice 3 months of my life to support MAGA.
Yeah, so please give me a pat on the head, Daddy.
The MAGA candidates. I've been to Arizona, New Mexico and Florida.
This guy is going through an acute case of Jerusalem syndrome right now, you know. He's on his MAGA pilgrimage and he's having his religious mania about MAGA completely validated. He is sacrificing himself. His words, not mine.
I've come here to sacrifice 3 months of my life.
Just like how hundreds of people go to Jerusalem and become convinced that they're the Messiah.
And for me, it's just important that in order to save Australia, I wanted to be here to make sure that we get the right people over the line.
Can you imagine how fundamentally validating this is as a pilgrimage for someone with this deep national dysphoria? This guy, He's an Australian over in America being interviewed by Steve Bannon, no less, podcast at the midterm elections, and he gets to tell all of the patriots on telly that he's here to sacrifice himself to save MAGA. This guy has just been anointed in the holy waters of MAGA. You know, he's absolved of all of his cultural cringe, cured, baptized as a MAGA chud. American comrades, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to ask you to keep him.